Welcome back to
one.
another episode of Talk Dirty to Me. This is Sean. Alex is not with us today.
Mistakes get made, that's alright, that's okay. In the end, it's better for me. That's the moral of this story. Some mistakes get made, that's alright, that's okay. If you think that you're wrong, then you really just think.
Today we are joined with Vince, who was in the trash game but got out and became a mechanic. So Vince, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Sean?
We're good. We're good. So we know you did work in the trash. What did you do before? Like, were you involved in any sports in school or anything like that?
So, back in high school, I used to work for a heavy equipment operation place. So, like a town, a small town. Then I also went to school for CDL and conservation. And so I knew how to drive before I went to the trash game. Then I had some mechanical background in heavy equipment, so then I went to a place to smelt aluminum down. Then I did that for about 3 years, and then I'm like, it's not my game anymore. Getting all
Right.
hot and bothered by a furnace and
Yeah.
pouring molten aluminum.
All
Then I
over.
went to actually Casella for 3
Right.
years. And actually, I trained Sean on how to drive after a few years.
Definitely. Because when you started at Casella, you were a driver and I was a toter guy. I just delivered toters.
Oh, yeah.
I got on the
And-
rear. I got on a rear load, learned that a little bit, and then got my CDL. And then that's where Vince
then
came in.
Sean hopped in with me, and I trained him on my route. And then
They stole me.
after
A week,
2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I don't even think it was 2 or 3 weeks, bro. I think it was like a week because then they
Yeah.
got rid of that one guy because he was doing no call no shows. Remember? And yeah, and they were like, "Hey, Sean, we're gonna need you to do this route now." Vince, you're screwed, buddy.
Yep.
So you guys set on your own. And remember, at that time, you were actually gonna leave Casella. If
Yep.
you remember
I was
correctly.
going to leave then. Then they started to pay me a little bit more, and then I stayed for a year? Just
After.
about a year. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think you were gonna leave. Like, cause you came back and when you pulled your 2 weeks, you came back strong. So it's like you kind of thought you liked it again.
I actually left and went to a union job to work there for a union job for 3 years. Then the foundry shut down, so I hopped back to looking for a job, and my job now is a diesel mechanic working on semi-trucks. I've been here for 3 years now, so my pattern's been every three years I change my career.
Right. What now? Doing trash. Did you actually enjoy doing it? Like, was it fun doing it?
Oh, I had so much fun. The best days were when I used to hop on the phone and call other drivers and harass them.
Definitely did that a lot.
So
awesome.
I used to call up Sean all the time, but now he doesn't even want to talk to me.
We'd be so busy now, and you work a whole different shift than I work. I think you work overnights now, and I work days still. So,
yep,
yeah, our shifts definitely changed. It was fun though. It was definitely fun. Was there any memorable moments you had working in the trash business? Like, okay, let me say it like this: like moments that you can discuss on this channel. Let's not go extreme. Because we both know some moments that you can't talk about or even want to talk about.
One of them is Sean and I were actually sitting in the truck together, and a guy comes running out. I think he was in his robe or something, yelling, "Casella, Casella, you forgot me." And I just kept on driving down the road.
What about the one customer you got that you gave a Christmas present to? Do you remember that? You took their toter down the street.
Yeah.
And then you yells out the window, "Merry Christmas!" Just kept going.
Yeah. So if you have trash cans that are stacked in front of each other, with my truck, it was so hard. My truck would just automatically grab it pretty much and start tipping it if it was too heavy out in the middle of the yard, or I would pick it up and it wouldn't lift up, and it would just sucked sometimes.
Right.
Then I also had a problem with the valve body. It used to not let you clamp hard enough, so you would have to run up top and undo the trash can. Actually, on my first day of my truck, my trainer actually said, "Yeah, go ahead, stand up on the arm and undo that trash can." Well, I slipped and fell right on my first day up in Victor.
Wow.
And it cut my knee, and I was in bad shape for the rest of the day. But I couldn't go home because it was my first day and couldn't really do anything about it.
Yeah. That truck was a pain in the neck, man. I'm like glad that today we're way away from that, dude. We got like all brand new trucks, and everything's just smoother with vehicle wise.
So my truck was a CNG, and the person that used to do my route had a diesel. So diesel has more power than natural gas.
Easily.
So it wasn't apples to apples. It was more like a car versus a semi-truck colliding together, and no one would be like, "Oh, this must be too much for him." Nope. They just said, he can do it.
Yeah.
So my route was the biggest route with people and the most driving.
Right. You definitely had big expanded routes. Like they went far.
Yeah. So I was doing just about a mile per customer.
Right.
So I would pick up one guy, drive a mile, pick up another guy, drive another mile, pick up another guy. Then I would get into like a town or something at the end of the route. So you would be like in a complex that has like toters all around, and they have like a yearly subscription that everyone in the complex gets, Casella toters or Fair toters or whatever, and you would have to go to every single house and tip them.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucked sometimes.
Yeah, that was definitely a challenge, especially with your truck. Remember when I first learned on your truck, and you put me on the hill, and I couldn't get the claw to grab the toter. I couldn't get it to stay up to grab the toter. And you're like, "You got to keep working it. You got to keep working it." And I'm like, "I am working it. You don't see this?
Gotta shake
it." And I could not get that thing up to grab that can for nothing. For nothing, man. It was a pain right in the neck.
Then after a while, I got all the walk-up stops for like businesses for like recycling or trash, like in the big city, and my truck could handle it, but the best time is when I had to do a dead-end street, and it was only on a single lane road, and that was my most rememberable moment right there. I was backing up. I got it all good, and I was backing up good. Then all of a sudden, a telephone pole. I hit right in the rear. Then the lines came down, so I was dead in the water, touching my truck, and I couldn't even leave or do anything until the fire department came.
It was so funny because the hardest part of that was backing around that corner to get down that road. Yep. That was the hardest part, and you cleared that.
Oh yeah,
the straight backing was your issue, where you hit the ball.
And it was sunny that day too, so yes, I knew it was there, but me getting out of the vehicle and checking and my mirrors didn't
Right.
end right
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah. So your advice for everybody would be make sure you clean off your mirrors before backing.
Oh yeah, all the time. Get out, check. Get out and
I-
check if you don't know.
Yeah, I think past that point is when you're like, hey, you got to make sure your mirrors are clean all the time. I was trained with you after that incident because I remember you telling me the story while we were backing down that road, and I was like, hang on, didn't they say we can't back down this road now?
Yeah,
you're
you're
like-
fine. Just do it.
You're like, we ain't
or
walking
you
all.
have to go
we
up
ain't
to
walking-
15 houses and get all the trashes and pull it down. Yeah, no.
Right? Yeah, that would have been a long walk. Now, you in the trash business, you're the first generation, right? You had no brothers, father,
Yeah.
anybody before you in it.
Nope, no one else. So my brother actually was like, "Yeah, you're gonna be in a trash can, and we're gonna push you down like a roll-off container. We're gonna push
Right.
you down a hill, and let you go riding down in the trash." So his thing actually came true, kinda. That I was in the trash business for
Right,
a little
right.
bit. But would I go back? Yeah, I like the people that I worked with.
And how about the routes? Like, how about actually traveling and seeing things and like 'cause you had some very scenic routes. Like your routes
Oh,
were
yeah.
very scenic. You had a nice mountain that you got to go into.
Yep.
You had a lot of nice scenery.
So I did mostly up in the city, north of the interstate there that would not meet the towns. So I was in the city, but not really sometimes for my routes. So I would take a whole day, I would cover one whole area, then I would just be in the city the next day. I was up in the city 2-3 times a week and getting trash.
Yeah, it was always a challenge with the truck you had though.
Oh,
Your truck hated cities too.
my truck would break down. The best route was Friday. I would get done so early, I would have no time to help anyone.
Yeah, yeah.
And everyone would be mad at me. But I worked 16-hour days then.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost every day.
Yeah, I remember
One
that.
time I had to go over it because I called dispatch like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and said I ran out of CNG on a route. And
Yeah,
they're like, okay, we'll bring you some. Yeah, and it was common for CNGs to run
Yeah.
out because no one would plug them back in after a long
worked on
day
'em.
of
Right.
work or whatever. And because I had a laundry list of stuff on my truck to do, no
Yeah.
one would plug it back in by the time I got back. And gauging that gauge, so you're like, do I have enough for this route or do I not?
Right.
And you're right there and couldn't really get it.
Yeah. Now your
So-
gauge was actually outside the truck, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You had to get out.
Mine
and
was
look.
outside, and you would
Driver's
have
side.
to turn off the truck to actually read it.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like so
And-
weird.
And you really couldn't gauge it because it was in bars, BAR.
Right.
So British something, I can't remember what it was.
Right.
And all my tanks were overhead of me, and my route, there's a few bridges that were marked like 12-9 or whatever,
Oh
and
yeah.
my truck was like 13-9, and I'm like, am I getting cleared today?
Yeah, I remember that because you were doing that route and you were like trying to train me on it because this is when you were getting ready to leave, and you're like, yeah, just drive down this road, and you're not saying nothing about the bridge. You know, you're over there in your head laughing because you know I don't know what I'm gonna experience when I get to that bridge, and I slow the truck right down to like nothing, just like slam on the brakes, and you're like, you'll fit. Well, you could have told me about that like 20 minutes ago. I thought I took the wrong turn.
Some of the bridges, if you hit it just right, you would just hear it tap the top. Some of
Right.
the bridges, I actually knocked the concrete off during winter time because of the crushed snow,
Right.
and it would clean off the whole top of my truck or whatever, and clean
Now-
off the CNGs.
Where was your CNG tanks at on them trucks?
It was right over my head,
Yeah. Right above
So-
it. Yeah.
right above it. So whenever my dump body was up in the air, they would go up.
Right.
So it was not the best thing in the world. So if the whole bed fell off when I was tipping it, then I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah. That was it a fun tip? Like when you got to the landfill, was that a fun tip?
Mine didn't have any problem. I never tipped it. No one tipped my truck before me until I left.
I was gonna say after you. There we go.
After I left, people
Yeah.
totaled it.
Yeah. So the your truck, so remember you were just talking about the bridges and how you hit the concrete? There's a bridge in one of the towns that on one side of the bridge it's like 13 feet and the other side is 10 feet.
12.
You should know
10. Yeah,
no,
10.
it's 10. It's 10. Yep. You should know where I'm talking about.
Yep. Right downtown.
Yep. And so the guy come flying down. He was on the wrong side of the road, hit that bridge and almost tore that CNG tank right off that truck.
Oh my god.
Yep. So you think you cleared the snow off of it? He almost took more than the snow off.
And people are from around here and they know that bridge is low on that one side.
I mean, there's signs. There's signs everywhere. There's like a sign like 5 or 6 miles back that says this is a 10-foot side. You know what I'm saying?
God.
And the other side does say 13. So I don't know why when he got to it, he didn't realize, hey, let me get into the other lane and go underneath the bridge because he had to fit underneath the bridge in the other lane. Nope.
Well, here's the thing. In New York, your height doesn't really matter because there's like a foot over the allowance.
Right.
Unless it says actual.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and your height varies on the day of how much trash you have on, too.
Yeah.
You could be 13 feet or you could be 10 feet. It all depends.
Yeah. And it's funny because there was no reason to even go down that road.
No.
We didn't remember the town picks up that area. So that truck should have never even been on that road because there's no reason for it. He was just a little bit slow. Ultimately, he ended up smacking that truck into a tree and hurt himself.
God.
In one of the previous podcasts, I actually talk about it, about how he hit the tree and
I did hear that one.
he destroyed your truck. I know you're sad. You might have to go to like the truck cemetery to pay your respects to your truck because it doesn't exist no more. Yeah. So, customers, did you get along pretty good with your customers?
I got along with most of my customers, except for one person up in a town that I picked up after one route dissolved.
Right.
And it was after I started, I got this route, and Alex actually received the other part of my route,
right,
or that route, and she was mean. She was mean. Nice. So people don't really know what to do with recyclables, right? Like cutting them up and getting them down, bagging them or. Getting them all confined so they would fit into a hopper.
Right.
And so this lady shopped on Amazon all the time. Some days I would even pick up her recycling because of how much cardboard was out.
Right. It looked like
I don't know if I even have any cardboard. So she would get like boxes, huge boxes.
Right.
Like 5 feet, 6 feet, all the time. And she didn't cut them. She didn't crush them down or anything. She would just shove them in the box, in the toter,
Keep it
or
going.
whatever, and make you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So some days I would just throw them up in there, whatever. Some days it wouldn't even pack them because of how much she put in there. Some
Right.
days when I went and picked it up and shook it in my truck, it wouldn't even empty. And she's like, "You missed me." No, I didn't.
I just couldn't
'Cause
get
I got
you.
you. It just
Just didn't get
couldn't
that
empty you.
recycling.
Yeah. Did you cut it?
What about your traffic? Like, because I know you had some really busy roads. How'd you feel about that, driving that slow truck?
Oh, my truck. Oh, my truck was the slowest in the fleet. Okay, I would push on the gas, and I would go only 5 miles an hour for about 3 miles. Going down a hill, I think a football could go faster rolling down the hill than I did. It was horrible.
It's so funny though, because you hear about these negative stories, but when you'd come to work in the morning, you were always a positive person. Knowing the truck that you're going to get into that day, you're still positive every day. You know, and then you'd go home at night and you'd still be that same positive person. Like the truck didn't make who you were. You know, you knew what you're going to deal with coming in, and you knew what you were going to deal with when you left. And I mean, you always kept your spirits up. How did you manage to do that?
So my list on my DVIR would be like having a whole booklet of nothing but of what's wrong with the truck, and the maintenance guys would just look at it, okay, whatever, and throw it in the back. And I'm like, what? You're not even gonna touch my truck? Nah, you're fine. You're good. What? So some nights my truck didn't even make it into the shop for things that would get fixed. So I used to have to stick around later in that day to get it fixed. And then I would have to say, I'm not going to finish this route today.
Right.
Yes, you are. You're staying out until you're done. What? I have stuff to do. What do you mean I can't go home on time?
Yeah.
Nope, you gotta stay.
That's definitely old management. New management's way better than that. We only allowed 13 hours, so they make sure we're off before 13 now.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
Yeah, they make sure. What kept you happy though? What kept you going in that time, even though you were in what you were in?
Coworkers. Talking to coworkers all the time.
Right.
So I was on the phone with one of the best guys that used to work there, Mike.
He actually enjoys my podcasts, actually. So you can give him a shout out. He watches every single one of them. So you can give him a shout out if you want.
Yeah, Mike is the best guy. Him and I connected. He actually knows my father-in-law and all that. So we used to talk about my father-in-law and see what he was doing this week, because he used to race cars and fix cars and all that on the side.
Right. It was so funny. I mean, you were always in good spirits, though. I mean, that was great. You know, never let nothing get you down.
I'm still in good spirits right now.
Right.
It's
right.
not. It's not the job that discourages people. It's the management that discourages people. When you ask for help and no one helps you, I'm having the same issue at my job right now. Management won't let people help.
Right.
And
wow.
It just brings people down.
Yeah. That's actually all changed. If you listen to a live we did, me and Alex, they actually send drivers out to each other's routes now.
Oh. That ain't bad.
Yeah. So now drivers
I wish that happened.
Yeah. Now drivers get help if they notice that you're falling behind or something like that. They'll more than likely send somebody to you.
So with my route, I knew exactly where to go, pick up, and all that. I used to have a paper log of who I picked up, who I didn't pick up. I could just throw my paper in my window and just drive down the roads because I knew every single road
Right.
after a year that I did that route. And you know who wasn't going to be out. So trash, recycling. And I used to do one courtesy tip pretty much. So after that, then I'm like, am I going to charge this guy now? Or do I have to charge him for getting out of the truck, for doing more recycling, or what's up? Why you got extra stuff?
Right.
Then sometimes price gouging got in the way. Vince, did you actually tip 15 cans at this place? Yeah, you want to see the photos?
We got tablets, so you don't worry about the paper routes anymore.
Yeah.
You just hit a button all the time when you hit a stop. And not only that, but now they pay you for your extras. So like you make extra money.
I had to cancel my route because it kept on going up in price. And kept on going up and up. It wasn't my trash. So I was paying for the father-in-law's trash, and someone kept on hitting extra button at it.
Yep. And the truck will take a
picture. Extra.
Yep. The truck will take a picture, and that driver gets paid a little bit for that. I mean, it's not like much, but
it wasn't getting out of the vehicle or anything. It would be like a broom handle or something sticking up and down.
Oh, that's bad. Like, so they got away with that too. Like, they stopped doing that. I think at one time when this first was introduced to us and we were first allowed to do this, people were just doing ridiculous stuff. And actually, the driver that did your route, he was a bad driver and ended up getting fired from the company as well. So,
who was that? Do I know him?
No, he came way after you. He came a long time after you. Yeah. He ended up actually backing into a car and lost his job because of that. Like, hit a car, pushed a car.
Oh my god. Really?
Yeah, yep. Terrible. But yeah, he was just randomly charging for stuff. You know, he was crazy with it. The driver that's on that route now, the driver that's on that route now is a decent driver too. He's a pretty good driver.
Well, my route got dissolved after I left pretty much because no one could finish it.
They did like a full reroute to us. They added the far stuff onto us, which killed us for a while. And then they ended up taking that off of us and getting rid of all that stuff. So that ain't on there no more. So it's definitely changed, man. They definitely did a lot better. Routes got a lot smaller. Like, you can actually finish most routes in like 8 hours, 9 hours.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah. So if you came in and just, I mean, you got a brand new truck too. Think about that. You got a brand new Labrie. Remember, the only Labrie that we had when you were there was 18.
Yeah, Alex's truck.
Right. So all the trucks are like that now.
What?
You know, they're all Labries.
Then when I was about to leave, they got a couple more in. Then after Mike got randomed, then he left for a little bit. Then his truck went out to that county that you used to do.
Yeah.
And then
definitely changed. It's definitely a better work experience, you know.
Then Card got one after his second time being there.
He never got a new one. No, remember, he left. Were you still there when that happened?
12 got wrecked.
Nope.
The first time.
12 was actually one of the last one. Oh, well, 11 was the last one to go. 12 went because of the it had a split in the frame. But we had 12 for a long time too. 12 lasted probably at least 2 or 3 years after you were there.
After it got wrecked?
It never got wrecked. It got junked because of the frame. They didn't want to put the money into fixing the frame.
Then why was it down for the longest time? Was it?
It was a frame issue. Yeah. So 12 lasted a long time.
Because that was the spare truck that I had to use sometimes.
Because it was 11 and 12 were them were my swap trucks.
Yeah.
So I had 11, I had 12. And no, you were still there you were still there when he got fired.
Yeah.
You were still there because remember he got fired for crashing.
The second or the third time that he got fired.
The third time. This is the last time he was fired when he crashed. Because he crashed and had no license. So
Yep.
So that was the end of him when he crashed and had no license. He lost it to I forgot what he lost it to. He lost it to something. Nothing he did wrong. He didn't do nothing wrong. He lost it to something though.
I believe it was for alimony
or child support. One of the
two. One of those.
Yeah. So after he left, we got like let's see. So we got that one truck. So we got 2 new trucks in. Yeah, we got 2 new trucks after he left, and I think you were still there for them 2 trucks, and then you were gone. And because remember, I think you were there when we got the full body and the split body.
Yeah,
and then,
I used to come in and still did a couple of routes when I first left on the weekend or whatever on a Friday.
Right.
And then
that's when good old Mark was the manager still. That guy. We were happy to get rid of him.
Yeah, he left. I don't know whatever happened to him. He
got fired.
Stopped calling me one day, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not coming in today.
Yeah, he got fired. They canned him. Yeah. His wife ended up driving one of the trucks and crashing it. Or getting pulled over for DWI. Yeah. Yeah. No license, DWI, and a company
That's
truck.
crazy. So, other than you being trained by me, do you remember James? Jimmy?
Yes. Yep.
He used to work with Mike, and something happened when they were together, and he turned out to be a pedophile. And I'm sitting there looking at his arrest record, and I'm like, wow, I'm training this kid?
I remember you called me on that.
Yeah, I'm like, damn.
You were like, check this out. And I was like, what? Wow.
That website doesn't work anymore. You got to pay for it. I was so pissed when I found that out. Can't find out where they live or anything anymore.
No. That was some good times right there, man. Definitely was some good times when you were there. You left shortly after training that kid, though.
Yes. That was the last straw. I got the job for the union, and they were gonna pay me more.
So what did you think? What did you think about union to non-union?
Oh, after I got canned at that place for safety, it was bad.
Right.
I did like the unionized lunch breaks, but I was more of a management type of person, though, after a few years. So I didn't get a lunch break as other people did in the union. So I had to stay and pour molten metal then again. So my pay increased, but I had more responsibilities, and I had 10 people that were beneath me. So making molds and people bringing me metal to pour off into the molds and all that.
Right.
So I had to give direction of what's going on, what to change, what not to.
Wow.
Then
so it was better when you weren't.
Yeah.
Like when you worked with us, you made more money working with us, right? Like your paychecks are bigger.
So when I first started there, I was $16 an hour driving. Then it went up a little bit, then a little bit more. When I left there, it was like $18 an hour, I believe.
Right, I remember now.
Then when I started my other company, it was $22 an hour to start.
Right.
And when I left there, when the foundry decided to shut down and all that, and when I got canned for safety because they were looking for stuff and I was a senior guy, they're like, yeah, you gotta go. And I left there at $28 an hour.
Wow.
So
Damn, so you left there really high then.
yeah, I was one of the higher levels.
Wow.
So
that's what most of us make now.
yeah. I'm making $29.90 right now as a diesel mechanic.
That's not bad. You get overtime?
No overtime.
At all? Not even
Nope.
like an hour?
40 hours, you got to go home.
Oh man, that sucks though.
Yeah. So
because like I mean, people hear like $29 an hour, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It is, but it isn't. You know what I'm saying? Like you get used to working like a job like we work. We make good money, but it's that overtime that we count on.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That overtime is what pays our bills. So when you lose it, even $29 an hour is not a lot of money actually.
Yeah, true. So when I swapped companies to the union job, I did lose money in like overtime and all that, benefits. Now I have to pay union due and all that.
Right.
I was bringing home max $900.
Right.
Then after that, $28 or $29.90 now. I'm only bringing home about $500 after everything's said and done.
That's crazy, man. Ain't that nuts?
And you saw my pay stub the other day, and as of year to date, I made $60,000, and that is my commission too. So I get commission after $3,000 of labor that has been met. Then anything above $3,000, I get 5%. So $200 cash in your check, but then you have to pay taxes and all that.
So like if you
only get $700 on a good day to $900.
Right. So if you get like a truck that comes in and it needs a lot of work, that's where you get your bonuses at? Like that's where you get your okay.
So a whole brake job is about on a trailer. So 4 brakes, 4 rotors. You're looking about $1,000 in just labor alone.
Wow. That's not even
then
parts.
It can go up. Then if you have drums or whatever, you can expect $500 in labor then.
Wow. So damn. So like jobs just get pricey really fast.
Oh yeah.
Even the simplest jobs. So
the other day we priced out just for giggles. 6 hours was $1,000 of just work. So we charge about $180 an hour to work on a semi.
You do road calls too now, right? Like you go out on the road, and do you make more doing that than you do?
Yeah, I do.
So like you get extra money to get out on the road and pick up?
I don't see any money until I hit that commission.
Oh, okay.
So if I don't get my commission that week, I just went out to see a truck for no extra money. So that kind of stinks for me.
They charge more for roadside services though, right?
$10 more, I believe.
That's it. Oh, that's it? I thought it'd be a lot more.
But it's hourly rate though.
Right. What about throughway? Like if you got to go out on the throughway and fix a truck, is that more money? I know what towing it is.
So throughway, no. You get charged the hourly rate. So let's say the tire takes you 3 hours to do. They get charged the 3 hours plus the tire. So tires are actually expensive for semi trucks.
Right.
And
because they come with rim and all though.
No, that's just tire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're like the company that you work for that gets just rims and tires replaced all the time. So we actually break them down and change them
On the
and
road.
put them back on the road,
Oh my God! Wow.
on the go,
I didn't.
all the time.
That's crazy.
If you go over to my TikTok page, I actually have my tire tech actually doing a tire or two.
Right. I've seen
So,
him. I've seen him,
yep,
and also give yourself a shout out too. You
yeah.
can give your TikTok page a shout out, so some people that watch us can go follow you.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then it'll also be in the description too. That's pretty cool though, man. That's a lot, man.
Oh,
You get
yeah.
to change tires on the side of the road. I couldn't even imagine that though.
So, as a diesel mechanic, you don't see tires too often until you get into like brake jobs or DOTs or
Right.
anything that is worthy of a mechanic doing it. Then you have to do the tire pretty much. And you're like, I'm not tire tech, dude. I don't get paid for this job. So
Right.
sometimes you grab the tire tech and say, this tire's your job, not mine.
Right.
You're doing it.
How do you do like shredded tires? That's got to be a
Shredded
pain in the
tires.
neck. Yeah.
So I'll do a video on shredded tires. Actually, shredded tires are more easy than a
Are they?
regular tire.
I would
Yeah.
have thought they were harder because now you're dealing with wire and all that. So
Yeah, sometimes you get poked and prodded. My wife actually asks me some days when I come home, why are you cut up? It looks like a cat attacked you. So
uh,
there's actually tires that are called super singles, and they are bigger than your guys' trash truck tires. And they
Okay.
weigh more.
okay, and you got to just pop them off, put them on. Like you
Oh,
don't
yeah,
even
all the time.
So watching your video, you don't have a tire machine.
Nope, no tire
You
machine.
do it by hand.
You do it all with bars.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's so
Yep.
crazy watching it, because, man, I was like, man, I remember when I was younger, that's actually how my grandfather taught me how to change tires, actually, with a bumper jack and bars. Yeah, so that's exactly how I learned to change tires.
Yeah. So this is actually one of the jacks right here that we use,
Right.
and you can spin this up and down for the height and get it to wherever you need to, and it's air powered.
Yeah.
And you have to jack it up and set it down just right. And actually, one of my apprentices that I trained actually got hit in the head with a jack and caused a bleed in his brain.
Wow. How did that happen?
That was about a month ago, and he still hasn't returned because they can't control the bleed.
Oh no! Hey, would it kick out?
It kicked out on the throughway.
Oh man!
And I got the phone call that said, hey, this person just got injured. You need to come in now.
Oh.
And I was out the door and street closed to go do his job for him because I'm like, I would do that for someone else if they did it, if I got injured. So
Right. Yeah, you definitely would run out to help people. So that was one of the best things about you there.
yeah,
That you would definitely do that. So that's crazy though to know that, It's crazy.
Yeah. So when you guys break down or whatever, you know that their life is in danger picking up trucks or whatever. Don't be in your trucks. Always be out there helping him. Make sure that he's not underneath the truck, passed out, dead. Yeah. Because it could have ended bad for him. He got hit in the head, and actually one of the drivers decided to go back there. It took them to realize it about an hour into it that he was laying underneath the truck.
Oh man.
An hour. So he could have died out there. He
stayed underneath the truck for a whole hour before anybody realized anything.
Yep.
When the mechanics come out to me, I get out of the truck and talk to them. So
Yeah,
If the mechanics ever come out to me.
most people at where I used to work did do that, and I would help make lines and all that when he used to work there.
Yeah.
I don't know if his name has been mentioned yet, but he's a good guy, and he's actually training the future diesel mechanics
Oh yeah,
to
definitely.
work now. So he knew his game, and I actually learned a lot from him making things and fixing things before I even went into this field that I'm in now.
Right. Looking back, did you ever think that you'd become a mechanic when you were back there picking up trash?
I actually thought about it a few times, but then I'm like, I don't have that many tools or anything.
Right.
And this company that I work for right now actually had an apprenticeship opening when they first opened up. So I said, let me apply for it, see what's going to go on. And that was right when my union job was coming to the end with the foundry closing. So I decided to take it upon myself, say, I'll go down and train and get my training done. And I left that company in back burners, and pretty much when I was going through a few things. So I'm like, let me get this training done. And they used to call me, you coming in for your meeting? Nah, I ain't. I'm out of state right now. What do you mean? We can't keep postponing it. And I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah, it happens, right? Now, you said you do TikTok videos. Do you go live often?
I sometimes do. I can't mention my company's name on the air or anything like that. Right. Because I have a signed waiver that says that I can't. So I have to pretty much be off the clock when I am doing TikToks or on lunch break or whatever. So my lives are kind of short, and I have to cover up the name of my company.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though. So you do TikToks, you go live, and you show like what you do at the job, right?
I show what I do at the job. If a job came in, I actually went live doing a headliner the other day on one of my buddy's truck.
Okay.
Because I was pretty much off the clock working on his truck, and I had to tear off the whole headliner to change out 4 lights on top, 4 of the marker lights, and the job called for, I believe it was 6 hours. That's how I knew it was $1,000.
Right.
And he's like, "What? I'm not paying that." So him and I were talking, and he's like, "What? People pay that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, people pay that."
Right. It's so funny because we actually had a guy come on the show a few weeks ago, and he works for Republix.
Oh yeah.
And really good guy, and we definitely want to get him back on. But he came on the show, and he said that by him filming on the job actually brings employees because they see him what he's doing, and they want to do it too. And they they see that he's actually making pretty good money doing it. Because obviously in some of his videos he explains that he makes good money, and they see that, and they're like, "Oh, I got to do that too." So it actually brings employees. And he said he's brought in tons of employees to his business, It's crazy that a lot of companies just ain't doing it. Like, social media is like the biggest thing now. Everybody's on social media, you know?
If you get like people to send you stuff on TikTok, then you start earning money. Like, if you get a rose, it's like 1 cent per rose or something. So at the end of the night, if you get like $2,000 of roses, you get like $200 or $2 or whatever. Sometimes you can get a lot of money by working on TikTok or whatever if you have the right content. See, I only have about 800 subscribers, and then only like 100 of them will come in at a time. Then they'll leave because people get tired of you talking about stuff. Yeah. And actually, I have a friend down in Georgia. His name is Nick with Tools R Us, and him and I kicked it off, and we've became very good friends when he first started.
Right.
And we message each other on stuff all the time. And him and I talk about getting involved with content creators of them sending him free stuff.
Right.
It like one of them is STS Auto Designs. We've all collaborated, and I go on their show and do a few demos of what they make, and they make battery mags for like power tools. So if the battery hooks on here, you can stick it to any metal surfaces,
Right.
and it just stays. And I love stuff like that because keeping your tools up off the ground in a diesel shop so it won't get ran over is a big key thing. Then sometimes you leave your tools and they make it all the way up towards Buffalo hanging on by magnets.
Damn. So they're strong magnets.
They've made it up to Buffalo a few times.
Wow.
And the driver normally is good and returns tools.
So you got good drivers. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. It's not the same drivers that I service all the time. It's different drivers. So my majority of the drivers out there right now that are driving semis over the road are like Indians, Pakistanians, Bangladesh, South America, Ukrainians, Russians, so and Southern American people from like Mexico or South America, and you just don't know what language that they're speaking, but you have to interpret of what they need.
Right.
That is the hardest job that I do. So you get on Google Translate and they just hand you the phone. Here, talk in. And I'm like, no.
You got to get that headset. So there's a headset that I guess you can get, and it translates it right in your ear.
Oh, I wish.
You got to buy that. There is one. There's one out. You got to Google it because supposedly there's one that'll do it.
I wish.
You definitely got to look it up.
Someone should buy me that so I can sit there and have stuff get translated to me.
Right.
See, I'm a good guy. I've always been a good guy to everyone. But Hispanic people, I can do Spanish more and more than some other people that got trained in like school or whatever for their second language. And me and my coworker that I worked on for the headliner, he is Hispanic, so I talked to him in Spanish and all that, and we became very good friends.
That's pretty cool.
And
it's pretty cool that you get to meet people from around the world too. That's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. So it's not like that you stay in one spot either in a night.
Right.
You're always walking around doing other things.
Yeah, definitely. That's pretty cool, man. Seems like a good job. Now, would you ever come back to trash if you had the opportunity?
Oh, I would love to sometimes. Then would I get paid more as a driver, or would I have to start off at the low man totem pole? Because I already know how to run ASL and roll off.
Right.
And I'm unrestricted license as well, unlike you are that can only stay as an automatic.
Right. So everything that you learn at the company, so you start off at a base pay still. It's a higher base pay, obviously. But like say you do roll off, front load, and residential, it's $1 per thing you learn. So like everything you learn, you get an extra $1 an hour.
So it's not like you better demand more money to get more money, like how it used to be.
Nope. So you come in and say you do like you do all 3 lines, and say they start you at like 23, you're up to 26 now just from learning all 3 lines.
But
You know.
I don't want to be like a lead driver like Alex was for the longest time when I was leaving.
Yeah, he didn't like that.
Nah, is he still a lead driver?
No, he stepped down and took on that one route, and that was the end of it. He didn't like it too much.
Yeah, that's right about when Joe came into effect and all that.
Yeah.
But Joe was the best guy. Yeah, so I need you. I used to love that.
Yeah. He's definitely awesome, man. He's fun to work with. Yeah, so. Hey, but if there's one good piece of advice that you can give our viewers, what would it be? Like something positive.
And slow down and get over.
Okay.
Don't be in a rush passing them.
Yeah.
I see a lot of accidents being in this line of work now. Slow down, get over.
Very good.
Don't be passing on a hill or double-sided lines or anything like that, because you don't know if that guy's gonna get out and walk across the road and be hit.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of accidents.
Then if you rear end someone, now you got to get me involved. See you guys. Now I have to go out and change out a tire or something.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely.
Which I don't want to do more work than I have to.
Yeah. So we're gonna end this here.